Hello, my loves. Thank you for everyone that's subscribed and wants to talk about this topic, because narcissism is a misunderstood concept spiritually. Until we claim our spiritual sovereignty, we don't really have a chance, right? There are a lot of people going through a lot of therapy talking about the narcissist and at the same time giving energy to that entity. There were some beautiful comments on my post yesterday, but there was one comment where someone said, "Oh, spiritual entities, this is all gobbledygook," right? And this is not gobbledygook. If you think about it logically, right? If you know about narcissism and narcissistic abuse, then how is it that people who have this affliction, literally this curse, I'd call it, show up in exactly the same way? They might not do the exact same things, but it's so predictable. It's textbook. They go through particular stages. They are acting from a thought entity, which is a consciousness, right? So it's an entity that's got hold of them. They had a weak energetic field. We have different responses to trauma. Some of us experience trauma, we go through pain, we want to evolve. Some people, when they go through trauma, they detract, literally as a soul, and they get possessed, and that's a narcissist. If I was wrong on that, then explain to me why they are all behaving in the exact same way. They all behave in the exact same way. They go through the exact stages. They love bomb, they hoover, they devalue, they discard, they throw you away like a piece of trash. There's an entity, and an entity isn't something to be really scared of. It's just a thought energy, a consciousness, right? Working through someone. But it does exist, and they are possessed by that consciousness. So in our universe, what happens is there's consciousness. There's wealth consciousness, there's poverty consciousness, there's all sorts of different levels of consciousness. If you tune into a different level of consciousness, you can shape your reality as a manifester, this is kind of a different video probably, but like whatever we're tapped into, right, we can become, we can utilize. The consciousness exists. So for us to change our lives or experience something else, we have to tap into a different level of consciousness. We have to elevate our consciousness. For the narcissist, they've pretty much sold out. And they are being owned by a level of consciousness that is literally, it's dehumanizing. If you've been with a narcissist, right? I grew up in a narcissistic family. Like, they aim to destroy and they dehumanize you, your emotions, your feelings. Like, they actually get energy from, they actually will like look at you strangely. Like, they will be seeing it, how much pain they're causing, how much they can affect you negatively, because for them it doesn't matter if it's positive or negative emotion. It's all fuel. It's all fuel for that entity, which is why I'm saying, like, psychically shut it down. What most people don't know is you have the power to do this. Like, we are confused and oscillating and going into therapy and talking about them, and by talking about them too much, like, I'm not saying don't engage, I'm not saying don't have the conversation, but a lot of the therapy out there is keeping you fueling the relationship. We're not meant to deny it, but we're not meant to give it our energy. So in order to heal, we shut the thing down. We do not give it our energy. We see it for what it is. There's a difference between having a conversation with a therapist, knowing what it is and how you're healing you, than to keep ruminating on what they did, why they did it, how you could have done it differently. Keep fueling the dynamic, because that keeps putting fuel in their tank. You are absolutely meant to talk about what you've been through. Some of these events are dehumanizing, and absolutely, I think they should be criminal. Like, what goes on in the narcissistic dynamic is a crime against humanity, as far as I'm concerned. It's a crime against humanity, because we are emotional beings, right? We're not detracted from ourselves. We feel deeply. Like, this is a real thing. at the same time, as part of healing, we want to start self-sourcing, coming back into our identity, fueling our own true, authentic lives, understanding manifestation, understanding how we can thrive and fuel our desires, and do not deny what happened to you. Do not, call it out in terms of not necessarily to them, but understand that it's not your fault. There's no shame to carry, because again, if you carry guilt, shame, confusion, they are living off that emits a vibration in the universe, right? Everything's energy in our universe. So your shame, your guilt, your confusion, it has a frequency, and they're connected to you energetically. So to break it, you don't fuel them, you fuel yourself without denying what happened. You've got to use it to put you into your true life, your true authentic power, which means that we don't deny it, we don't forget it, we don't put our head in the sand and pretend it hasn't happened or it's not going on. We refuse to be dehumanized, and we do not fuel them. Fueling them means giving them our emotions in ways that don't serve us, right? So if I'm feeling worried, fearful, ashamed, guilty, confused, I'm fueling them. And what I'm not recognizing is I was treated in a very, very bad way. I'm not recognizing that I was dealing with an entity. It's a spiritual attack, an entity that dehumanizes me and is requiring me to be dehumanized and invalidated in my humanity. And I'm not going to play. See it for what it is. You cast it out when you don't give it your thought, psychic energy, but you absolutely know the truth. You have to know the truth, because one of the easiest ways to know if you're with a narcissist is you are so confused. You're trying to reconcile. It could be your parents. It could be your marriage, right? You're trying to reconcile the role they're supposed to play with the thing you're receiving. And their behavior is predictable. It's a constant merry-go-round. They're going to fake the future. They're going to tell you things they're never going to live up to. There's going to be one thing they're saying and one thing you want to believe. You're going to want to believe this illusion, this projection, and what you're seeing is something different, and you know how you feel. And that's the biggest way, again, to cast this out of your system, is to be true to how you feel. Not use your logic to try and talk yourself out of it and be persuaded by, maybe I'm nuts, maybe I'm anxious, maybe I'm insecure, maybe there's something wrong with me. You know how these people are making you feel. I feel less of myself. I feel I'm walking on eggshells. I feel like I can't speak up. You are under the influence of a demonic entity. I know people don't like me saying that, but it's the fucking truth. And it's not something to be really scared of. It's just a consciousness that works through. So everything's energetic. It's a consciousness that's working through certain people on the planet that are detracted from their soul. It's a consciousness working through them. You have the power to be stronger than it. But while you're reminiscing and thinking, this could have been my partner, this could have been my parent, this could have been something other than what it is, right? You're now fueling the illusion, and they rely on illusion, not facts. They rely on the projection. So you see it for what it is. You don't give it unnecessary thought energy, but you don't deny what happened to you. You stand in the power of it. You're not ashamed of it. You're not guilty about it. It's got nothing to do with you. In fact, if it happened to you, you're probably a really heart-centered, open empath that had the compassion to want to understand people and gave them a lot of leeway. There's nothing wrong with that. That's a beautiful quality for the right people. But with a narcissist, they're a parasite. And they are a demonic entity. So for the person that said it's not a spiritual entity, I'm sorry, you're incorrect. It's textbook. How are they acting in the exact same way? I don't act in the same way as all my friends, right? I'm a unique person. I've got a unique soul. I'm connected. I'm not working for consciousness, an entity that is working through me. So make no mistake what you're dealing with. They are dehumanizing you because they are dehumanized in how they are. They're not human. It's not human to not be emotional. It's not human to want to inflict pain and suffering. In fact, for most human beings, to see someone, an animal or a person in pain, we're going to want to help. But for a narcissist, they're going to want to antagonize it. They're going to want to turn it up because they feel powerful when they get a strong reaction out of you. That's not human. That's an entity. The way we solve it on the planet is we do what I'm saying. You don't let it have your psychic energy. You see it for what it is. You go into your authentic life and truth and you insist on something else. Like, you do not allow this in your life. You don't join the illusion and project the ideal partner on them or the ideal parent on them when they're not. You see it as something that's not human. It's against humanity, and you will not play there, right? And just by choosing our authentic power and choosing our souls, we're not having our souls sucked out of us anymore. This thing has nothing to feed off. You starve it, basically. You don't have to punish it. You don't have to become it. You just starve it. The hardest thing about narcissistic abuse is that it will try and bring you to its level, which means that you will do something reactive that makes you like them, and that will confuse you even more because you will act out of character, away from your authentic self. They're trying to make you detract from your own soul. If you've done that, forgive yourself. It's not your fault. Like, that's what happens in these dynamics. But understand what it is. Choose your authentic self and power. Don't buy into the illusion that you need these people for anything. Now, I'm not saying that for a lot of people there isn't a transition. There often is, because we've got into traps where they are financially or emotionally controlling us, right? You do have to break away. Just be brave enough. And you will find a way. If you will find a way through, but you cannot make them your source of anything. Not your source of love, survival, support, validation, nothing. You're fueling an entity that literally works through people to the level of which we give it energy. This is an energetic universe. Whoever that person, I love you, but whatever you said about it's not a spiritual entity, you have to understand beyond the physical world. We do not just live in a three-dimensional world. It is a spiritual problem. It is an energetic problem, and it can only be dealt with in a multi-dimensional way. So I hope that's helpful. Please let me know anything else you want me to say on this, because I do understand it and I can help you break free, and I wish us the best, but we can't fuel it. We can't make excuses for it, and we can't dance this dance anymore. It's just we're losing what we came on the planet to do if we're giving our lives away to something that is dehumanizing. And that's what it is. So lots of love, and I'll speak to you soon.